Another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put 2 dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man that go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
Queen.
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
Every time we put a sex game, my kick, the words, my faith, can't even on giving money saves. It's like an earthquake, don't call you out. Create a constant, just get it from the back. Such an awesome place, just a more for all.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamins. Okay, guys, my voice is a bit tired in case you didn't notice. Okay, so we're going to try to get this information out regardless. Everyone, please hit that like button. Please like, share, and subscribe. Okay, it doesn't cost you a single thing. Okay, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr_A_Shakur, TikTok at Dr. A Shakur, and Twitter at DGoddess27. Okay, and as per usual, if you don't like what the Queen is cooking, you already know what to do. Okay, so let's get into it. Hello, Claudette. All right, Pearlie's in the house. Khalid Harleem is here. All right, let's get into it. All right, Sequoia is here. All right, DSB. Oh, thank you, DSB. DSB gifted 10 memberships to the channel. You all please give a big shout out to DSB. All right, always contributing to the Queen's channel. I appreciate you, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, got Desmond in the house. Sheila is here. Okay, shout out to my moderators putting in work. Hey, James, beloved. All right, all hell no. Miss AP is in the house. Coco V is here. Okay, also DSB contributed another 5 memberships to the channel. So that's a total of 15. Shout out to you, beloved. Thank you so much. Okay, Deronda is here, the classic one. All right, so let's get into it. Most hated bronze flat power god, Nessie X, Anita Harrell. All right. Everyone get those likes up. Thank you in advance. So with that all being said, let's get into it because it's a whole lot going on and it's a lot to unpack, but we're going to get into it. First and foremost, let's talk about Trump's cabinet positions, okay, that have come out. Let's get into it. First off, let's talk about them making the decision to overturn, or they're making a decision on whether to overturn Trump's hush money conviction. Okay, they said was delayed. Hold on, here we go. Now, this was reported by CNN a few hours ago. Okay. Let's get into it. Everybody hit that like button. Thank you so much.
To tell you about right now, a decision has been delayed in the sentencing and whether or not Trump's hush money conviction is going to be thrown out. Let me get straight out to CNN's Paula Reed. Paula, what can you tell us?
Well, Jim, we'll be waiting another week at least for this answer from Judge Juan Merchan, who oversaw Trump's criminal trial earlier this year, where he was, of course, convicted on 34 counts of falsifying business records. The judge had given himself until today to decide whether the Supreme Court's decision earlier this year granting Trump immunity for actions he took in office, whether that applied to this conviction, because there were pieces of evidence that could be construed as official acts, including conversations that he had with some of his staffers that were introduced as evidence. So the judge said, look, I'm giving myself until today to decide whether the Supreme Court's decision means that this conviction should be tossed. But while we were waiting for that decision, we learned that, in fact, they are giving it another week before the judge decides on this issue. Now, sources tell me that prosecutors and defense attorneys have been discussing this over the past few days, and they mutually agreed to delay this deadline so that Trump's lawyers will have additional time to make new arguments based on the fact that their client is now the president-elect. Sources tell me that they will argue that as president-elect, Trump is entitled to constitutional protection from state actors. So that would include state judges, a sentencing in this case. They have tried successfully twice now to get this sentencing delayed, but here they want it completely canceled based on his status as president-elect, and prosecutors agreed to give them time to make those arguments. Now, prosecutors will also have a response to that. So based on these documents that we have obtained, the conversations went back and forth for several days, and they agreed, and the judge granted this request. So it will be at least another week until we get a decision.
Okay, so you all heard that. Judge Juan Merchan is going to be delaying it, okay? So with that all being said, let's get into Trump's cabinet picks. Everybody hit that like button. Latest on Trump cabinet picks: Mike Waltz, Lee Zeldin, Stephen Miller, Ern Rose. Now, for those of you who don't know, Stephen Miller was working with Trump last time. Okay, so as the country waits to see which party will control the House of Representatives, President-elect Donald Trump's administration is coming into view. Former Representative Lee Zeldin was tapped to serve as administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, while longtime advisor Stephen Miller was named deputy chief of staff for policy. Now, Trump announced Sunday evening that former Immigration Customs Enforcement Director Tom Homan will be a part of the administration as the border czar. And this man got into with AOC, so we're going to get into that. And Representative Elise Stefanik has been named as Trump's nominee for ambassador to the United Nations, and she has accepted the offer. Now, Trump said Saturday that neither former United Nations ambassador Nikki Haley or former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will have a role at the start of the new administration. He has yet to name official roles for key campaign allies, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and billionaire Elon Musk, which he has said he would do. Okay? So that's what we know about that thus far. But let's talk about Stephen Miller. Let's talk about Stephen Miller. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, who is Stephen Miller? Well, he seems to be an angry little man as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to share his face up on the screen. Hold on. And while I'm doing that, everyone, let's have a word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase your 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and also you can find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's get into it. Now that's Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller, this is a guy who was writing speeches for Trump in the previous administration when he was in office. Okay, and he also doesn't like immigrants. Please pay attention. Stephen Miller is credited with shaping the racist and draconian immigration policies of President Trump, which include the zero tolerance policy, also known as family separation, the Muslim ban, and ending the deferred action of childhood arrivals, that program, which is the DACA program. Miller has also purged government agencies of civil servants who are not entirely loyal to his extremist agenda. And this is a report according to Vanity Fair. Please pay attention. And during Stupid 19, the crisis, the Trump administration's decision to halt the issuance of new green cards is yet another example of its hard line on immigration. Now, through the conscious use of fear-mongering and xenophobia, Miller implements policies which demonize immigrants regardless of their immigration status. That is why Joy Reid said to the immigrants, she said he's going to deport brown people whether you're legal or illegal. Now, in an apparent effort to halt all forms of immigration to the United States. Now, in response to seeing photos of children being separated by their parents at the U.S. border with Mexico as a result of the zero tolerance policy, an external White House advisor in a Vanity Fair report said, Stephen actually enjoys seeing those pictures at the border. According to Miller, the administration's decision to institute the policy was a simple decision. Now, I want you all to pay attention because I did my research on this man, and this man does not like immigrants at all. He's clearly racist, and he's a white nationalist. But not only that, he said that he doesn't have, basically, when it comes to deporting people, or being tough on immigration, he's got time today because he said he doesn't have any family, and this is all he has to do. That's what he said back in 2020. Now, through his connections to the anti-Muslim movement, Miller landed his first job in Washington, D.C. as a staffer on Capitol Hill. In less than a decade, Miller would go from a congressional staffer to an advisor to the Trump campaign. During this time, Miller influenced the editorial direction of the highly trafficked conservative website Breitbart.com, sharing white nationalist and anti-immigrant propaganda with their editors in an effort to buoy Trump's run, according to leaked emails reviewed by Hate Watch. Now, his role in the campaign, including crafting then-candidate Trump's nativist immigration platform, writing campaign speeches, as well as being the opening speaker during rallies. Now, on June the 16th of 2016, campaign rally in Dallas, Miller's speech made clear the campaign then candidate Trump was running, the campaign then candidate Trump was going to run, and foreshadowed the nativist policies Miller and the administration would eventually pursue. Now, in speaking about the impact of undocumented immigrants in the U.S., Miller says, you've seen what it does to living standards. You've seen what it does to wages. You've seen what it does in terms of transnational cartels. You've seen what it has done to the innocent victims of illegal immigrant crime. You have seen the death. You have seen the needless destruction because we can't secure this border. Now, Miller's use of the state to vilify immigrants has led to calls for his resignation. After Hate Watch's investigative reporting verified Miller's white nationalist perspective, more than 80 Democratic members of Congress called for his resignation. Now, this is previously, not now. Now he's just about to get started. Opposition to Miller and his agenda have also surfaced within the rank and file civil servants who are charged with discharging the administration's policies. Now, in his own words, they say, it's a simple decision by the administration to have a zero tolerance policy for illegal entry, period. The message is that no one is exempt from immigration law. June 16th of 2018, Miller's response to the criticism of the administration's former zero tolerance policy, also known as family separation, this is what he had to say to that. Fundamental question of our time is whether the West has the will to survive. Do we have the confidence in our values to defend them at any cost? Do we have enough respect for our citizens to protect our borders? Do we have the desire and the courage to preserve our civilization in the face of those who would subvert and destroy it? July the 6th of 2017, remarks by President Trump to the people of Poland, drafted by Miller. Okay, because he's been writing the speeches. Pay attention. Now, the powers of the president to protect our country are very substantial and will not be questioned. Okay, this is February the 12th of 2017. Miller, during an appearance on CBS's Face the Nation. Now, he also said it has never been easier in American history for illegal aliens to commit crimes of violence against Americans. January the 5th of 2016, an email with the subject line, off the record observation. That's where that came from. Now, this is a good chance to expose that ridiculous Statue of Liberty myth. Poem has nothing to do with it. Indeed, 2 decades after the poem was added, Coolidge shut down immigration. This is what Miller said September 13th of 2015, his response to Republican senators voicing their sympathy for refugees. Like the mystics of old, the one sure way to get rich in modern America is to offer yourself up as a virtue signal to those seeking to prove themselves members in good standing of the national religion, diversity. Now, that was November the 23rd of 2015. Miller sarcastically was referring to diversity as the United States national religion. Now, here's his background. He was born in 1985. He grew up in Santa Monica, California, and attended Santa Monica High School from 1999 to 2003. Miller's evolving political views could not have been more at odds with those of progressive, inclusive Santa Monica, a fact in which he delighted. Okay, written in Vanity Fair, it said special correspondent William D. Cohen said that additionally, former classmates of Miller recall how he would challenge Latino students to speak English and argued against multi-language school announcements, according to a National Public Radio report on Miller's early years. Miller started working with the far-right hate groups while studying at Duke University. He worked with the David Horowitz Freedom Center, an anti-Muslim hate group, organizing events such as an Islamo-Fascism Awareness Week on Duke's campus. He also served as the first national coordinator of the center's Terrorism Awareness Project. Now, to Miller, the project existed to make our fellow students aware of the Islamic Jihad and the terrorist threat, and to mobilize support for the defense of America and the civilization of the West. Miller also worked with classmate Richard Spencer. Now, Richard Spencer is also a white nationalist, and he's one that supported Kamala. Now, he worked with fellow classmate Richard Spencer as members of Duke Conservative Union. The pair organized a speaking event which brought white nationalist Peter Brimelow to campus in 2007. Brimelow is the founder of the white nationalist group VDARE, which requires or regularly publishes the works of eugenicists, nativists, and other extremists. Spencer is arguably the most notorious white nationalist figure in the United States. Okay, we just talked about him the other day because I was trying to figure out why the hell he was supporting Kamala. Now, he is credited with popularizing the term alt-right, which I told you days ago, and was scheduled to serve as the headline speaker at the deadly Unite the Rally in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017. Now, in a 2016 interview with Mother Jones, Spencer confirmed his relationship with Miller, saying, "I knew him very well when I was at Duke, but I'm kind of glad no one's talked about this because I don't want to harm Trump." That's what Spencer said. Now, similar to his behavior in high school, Miller enjoyed taking controversial stands while at Duke. Now, when 3 players at the university's lacrosse team were accused of raping a Black woman, they hired an adult entertainer. They hired as an adult entertainer. Miller fervently questioned whether the issue of race played in a role in the case, according to an April 14, 2017 article in New York Magazine. Now, in one of his biweekly columns for the campus newspaper, Miller argued, if you find yourself in the presence of a student who insists the lacrosse players are a bunch of racist criminals and that the players are guilty no matter what the evidence says, put them in their place. If you don't, I will. That's what he said. Now, Miller's first position within federal policymaking circles began when he served as press secretary for former Minnesota Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann in 2008. During her time in Congress, Bachmann openly peddled anti-Muslim conspiracy theories, specifically pushing the unfounded claim that the Muslim Brotherhood had infiltrated the U.S. government in pursuit of America's demise. Bachmann later claimed to have served in an advisory role to then Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump on foreign policy. According to Bachman, Trump recognizes there is a threat around the world, not just here in Minnesota, but of radical Islam. In 2009, Miller transitioned to a communications role with then Senator Jeff Sessions. While serving in the U.S. Senate, Sessions of Alabama was one of the anti-immigrant movement's strongest allies and regularly cited reports produced by anti-immigrant hate groups such as the Federation for the American Immigration Reform, known as FAIR, and the Center for Immigration Studies, known as CIS. Now, with that all being said, it would be safe to assume that any immigrants, whether legal or illegal, okay, are likely wishing they hadn't voted for Trump at this point. Please pay attention. Okay, Southwest Houston, Texas said his forehead looks deformed. Okay, so with that all being said, let's continue because about damn time, as a side note, I wish they retired that haircut. I don't think that's a haircut, honey. I think he's just losing it. Now, with that all being said, likes up, everyone please like and share because AOC wants to know from her supporters or from the Democratic supporters why some of them voted for Trump. And also there was a viral moment when Tom Homan, who's Trump's border czar, who also worked with Trump before, well, he clashed with AOC over family separations. I'm going to likes up, everyone, please like and share. Him and AOC got into it. They were going head to head.
Everyone is operating in good faith. And I just want us to be very careful with that. With that, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Earlier, my colleague from Maryland, Mr. Raskin, asked the panel how many people here believe that child separation is an effective policy in deterrence. And no one on the panel raised their hand. I just wanted to note that for the record, Mr. Chair. I wanted to ask a question from Professor Mukherjee. Is the United States violating or violated human rights agreements set by the United Nations in a family separation policy?
Yes. International law is clear that family unity should be prioritized.
So we, as members of the United Nations, signed on into an international human rights agreement saying very clearly that family separation is a violation of international human rights, and then we pursued a policy that violates human rights. You know, Mr. Chair, I was looking, how did we get to this point? How did we get to this point where we take children out of mothers and fathers' arms? And, you know, it dated back, family separation, the way that we have seen it, where we take children away from their parents without due process, began last year under Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, but I had to dig further. And our staff dug further, but where did this start within the administration? She implemented it. And we found a memo, dates back to April 23rd of 2018, where there was an official recommendation to, quote, pursue prosecution of all amenable adults who cross our border, quote, illegally, even though this applied to legal asylum seekers in practice, including those presenting with a family unit between ports of entry in coordination with DOJ. Here is the memo that I would like to submit to the congressional record.
What is the date of that?
It is the memorandum for the Secretary from Homeland Security.
Date.
April 23rd, 2018, subject increasing prosecutions of immigration violations.
Without objection.
And so I looked at this memo and it seems like this is the source of it. And it seems as though, Mr. Homan, that you are the author. It says here from yourself, Kevin Michalinen, and Francis Cisna. Is this correct? Did you sign the memo?
I'd have to see what you.
You're giving.
I'd be happy to provide it. And we'll provide it over. But I would like to note that here it says the official recommendation. There were 3 different options presented. The third included the option for family separation. This initiative would pursue prosecution of all amenable adults, including those presenting with a family unit. Mr. Holman, your name is on this. Is this correct?
Yes, I signed that memo.
So you are the author of the family separation policy.
I am not the author of this memo.
You're not the author, but you signed the memo.
Yes, a zero tolerance memo.
So you provided the official recommendation to Secretary Nielsen on family, for the United States to pursue family separation.
I gave Secretary Nielsen numerous recommendations on how to secure the border and save lives.
But it says here that you gave her numerous options, but the recommendation was option 3, family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the Secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommended zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum and go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay. Mr. Chair, the memo is submitted to the record for review. Inspector General Costello, one last thing. Is there a record, based on reports throughout the year and in our hearing earlier this year, we spoke with Ms. Juarez, a mother who lost her child due to inhumane conditions in facilities. We learned that there is no accurate record and no policy being held of people who are pregnant and people who endure miscarriages. Is there a record of who enters and leaves these facilities?
I'm not familiar with the instance you're talking about, but I do believe the facilities keep custody logs and logs, but I'm not familiar with the incident you're talking about.
And where would we find those records?
I believe all the facilities keep them on site, CBP and ICE facilities.
And if you believe that the records are not accessible, or if we find that the records are not accessible, do you believe the committee should seek to request records from DHS on the location of children and those that are detained?
Well, we would never opine about what the committee would request and not request, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Presley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm very proud to represent and to call the Massachusetts.
Do you want to?
Okay, so you all heard that. And she also asked him if it was okay for families to be separated. And he said, send the families back together, deport the families together. Now, Al Khalifa 85 says, I'm sorry, but they need to pull themselves up by their illegal bootstraps and walk back to where they came from. Okay, don't hold back, beloved. Tell us how you really feel. You know, but that's what they tell Black people in this country. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Okay, Tasty Cake says, I stand with the new border czar. He standing on business. Okay. They don't say that when they separate Black children, fathers and mothers from each other. This is true. This is true. I can't argue that. Okay, I can't argue that. Green beans, potatoes, tomatoes, your neighbor says, don't come crying when things really go south. The DSB said that AOC lady looks like she's been crying every night after this election. Okay, y'all are relentless, okay? But let's continue. Now, Yvette says they send their kids over by themselves, so they also abandon their kids. Claudette says she wasn't prepared for his response. Okay, so with that all been said, let's keep going. Let's keep going. And that was from 2019 when him and AOC got into it. Okay, so let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. But what do you all think about that guy, Stephen Miller? He's a whole white nationalist. What do you all think about him? What do y'all think about him? Quite frankly, I don't like him at all. Okay? I don't like him at all. Miss Evie says, I'm sorry, but family separation started with slavery. She can miss me with it. Her fake outcries are atrocious. Oh, okay. Not atrocious. Okay, the sheriff says, hold on, where'd that comment go to? Here it is. Says separation of families suited the demon race for their sick perversions and their okay. Let's not use that word, beloved. Let's not use that word. Al Khalifa said AOC is against reparations too. Yeah, this is true. This is true. Okay, now let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Here we go.
In making the liberals scream, the president-elect tapping Tom Homan for border czar in charge of mass deportations. The former acting ICE director reacting on something called Fox and Friends.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's on. Is it on this channel?
Morning, maybe?
I don't know.
Hughley's on that show.
Ah, that explains it. Where he vowed to end the crisis.
Public safety threats and national security threats will be the priority because they have to be. They pose the most danger to this country. I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, or independent. Border security is national security. I've seen some of these Democratic governors say they're going to stand in the way. They're going to make it hard for us. Well, a suggestion: if you're not going to help us, get the hell out of the way. If we're going to do it to the American people, President Trump is going to secure this border. He's going to save American lives.
You know, Judge, you got to hand it to him. He does look like the Wall. I think he means business. You know what I mean? This is not somebody who's trying to win a popularity contest.
No, in fact, he said he doesn't give a damn, if you'll excuse my English, what anybody thinks of him. He's got a job to do. He's going to do it. He was in the first Trump administration. He has been a stalwart supporter of the president during the last 4 years. Look, the president has a mandate. Popular vote, the Electoral College. The American people want this. And right now, they're estimating that there are 20 million illegals in this country. And when you try to assess who's going to be deported, Homan said the bottom line is if you come into this country illegally, you're not off the table. So I say to myself, I suspect they're going to start with the criminals. All right. The first, it's the felons, the violent felons, and then it's the criminals. And then it's going to be, what about those people who had appointments for asylum and then never went to court? They should be deported immediately as well. So they're going to try to revive the remain in Mexico. They're going to try to get these individuals to stay in a third country. And all of these governors, they can resist all they want, but 75 million Americans want this done. And what I think is interesting, Greg, is that they said that Homan was also in charge of all maritime and aviation security, which tells me that it's not just the people at the border, it's the bringing in of drugs, I imagine, and other things in terms of air and water. So, you know, the Dems fear mongering, as they will definitely do, they're not going to have any credibility because they don't really have an audience anymore. This is what the American people want.
You know, Jess, I always use the Larry Kudlow hot tub rule with immigration. Last one in is the.
Okay, so with that all been said, Capricorn Camille TV says they all need to go back to their country. Okay. Terry Hint says Terry Hartfield says this is going to be real interesting. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. But let's continue. With that all being said, here's what I find interesting. Donald Trump Jr. came out and said, he hinted at major action on Diddy, speaks the whole list of party attendees. Now, I find this interesting, and here's why. Because Trump was initially asked, and I told you all this a week or so ago, I do believe, if he was going to release Epstein's list. Remember? And Trump kind of hesitated and said, well, you know, I might, but some of those things might not be true. But they say Trump wants to release Diddy's list. Didn't I tell you all that Trump was going to get Diddy back? Didn't I tell you all that? What are y'all talking about? And then some people foolishly out here talking about Trump's going to pardon Diddy. Trump is vindictive. He's narcissistic, and quite frankly, the last thing he's going to do is a favor for anyone that he thinks slighted him. He's all about revenge, and y'all know that. That's why the Democrats that went against him are scared. Okay, with that all being said, yes, Archie Titan said Trump's petty. Yes, I absolutely told you all this. Okay, Fat Boo says payback, bitch. Okay, Claudette says, yes, you did, Queen. Yes. Okay, people sitting out here talking about he's going to pardon Diddy. No, he's not, honey. That's nonsensical to even think, because I played for you the clip of what Diddy said about Trump in 2020. Okay, he said white men who think like Trump are dangerous and we got to get them out of here, remember? And when they asked, when Charlemagne asked him if Trump had been to his parties or if he was cool with Trump or whatever, he said, you know, he used to pop up at parties. Now, Diddy needs to quit trying to minimize it, because first of all, he didn't pop up at parties. He was invited. That's for number one. I do believe Diddy was cool with him at the time. Now, they have fallen out. But the reason I knew Trump was going to have something for Diddy that wasn't anything good is because, first of all, Trump spoke up for him, said Diddy was a nice guy, and then Diddy turned around and called him racist and talked trash about him. So you already know how Trump gets down. Okay, he's nefarious, and that's just what it is. But my question is, Trump, while you're releasing Diddy's list, are you going to, in fact, release Epstein's list? Inquiring minds wants to know truths. Okay. So anyway, here's another thing. I want you all to pay attention. You know, he will likely release Diddy's list because it has been said that many of the people, the celebrities that is, that spoke out for Kamala were at Diddy's party. So that's another reason Trump would release Diddy's list. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all been said, goes on to say, Donald Trump Jr. suggested that his father's administration would take a strong stance on sex trafficking allegations against rapper P. Diddy. This comes after a report surfaced alleging the presence of minors at Diddy's private parties known as freak-offs, where sexual misconduct was alleged to have taken place. We want the whole list of who was there. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. This is what Donald Trump Jr. said. Not sunlight is the best disinfectant. Now, Donald Trump Jr., who on several occasions claimed that celebrities were endorsing Kamala Harris because they did not want to be dragged into the Diddy case. Now, he hinted Tuesday that his father's administration will not be soft on the issue that P. Diddy was arrested in September on charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation for prostitution. Diddy did not plead guilty and will now face trial next year. Hollywood A-listers were regulars at Diddy's parties, and Donald Trump Jr. earlier drew a link between Diddy partygoers and Kamala Harris's endorsers, saying they're the same. See, that's what this is all about. Revenge, honey. The plot thickens. Now, reacting to a report on minors being present at Diddy's infamous freak-offs, Donald Trump Jr. said, we want the whole list of who was there. So, the report quoted Tania Wallace. Now, you all remember Tania Wallace? I played you the audio of what she had to say. An inspiring singer-songwriter who claimed that she went to Diddy's freak-off in 2018. She said, I believe to be one of Diddy's freak-offs. Okay, in 2018. I went to this freak-off, and this is what she told to Page 6 also, as well as that she was on that podcast of Soft White Underbelly. Okay, and I played you all the audio. So I look to the right of me, and in the corner, I'm looking like, are those small people? That's the word I'm going to say, because she used the M word that rhymes with idiots, and they don't like to be called that these days. So she says, because people were over them. It's people trying to hide what they're doing. They're all huddled up, she said. So I'm like, what is this? But no, they weren't small people. They were little people. I don't want to say too much. They were, little people. So use common sense. Okay. Wallace said the little people were dressed up like Harajuku Barbies and were wearing red lipstick, looking real sexy and revealing. Okay. It's what she said. Several people claimed that they were raped by Diddy when they were minors, but this is the first time a freak-off attendee claimed to have seen minors at the freak-offs. Freak-offs were Diddy's infamous after parties where women were forced to have sex with prostitutes on camera, and it went on for days, sometimes with Diddy taking part in it. She wasn't actually the first person to say that. Actually, Allie Carter was the first person to say that. And Allie Carter has, in fact, been saying that since, I believe, 2021, if I'm not mistaken. But she said the same thing. But like I said, Trump's going after Diddy because Diddy said those things about him that weren't favorable to him. And also wanting to release this list because those people, some of them that we know went to those parties, were supporting Kamala. And I'm not saying they were at the freak-offs, but there's footage of them and pictures of them at the parties. I actually show it in one of my videos at the beginning with a song called I Wasn't the Only One, Ode to Diddy. Okay, so anyway, honey, like I told you all, Trump is all about get back. Please pay attention. Now, with that all been said, D.L. Hughley says this whole thing was rigged. He says it was all rigged. Now, what do you all think? But let's get into it because before D.L. Hughley said it, T.C. Carson, the guy that played, what was his name? Overton? Not Overton. What was the other guy's name on Living Single? Clyde or something like that. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He said something was shady with his ballots. Okay. And we saw that some of the ballots were changed. I showed you all a video. I think it was happening in both cases. I'm not sure. Okay. Because he says it happened when he voted for Trump. And then there were some people who did videos showing that it happened when they voted for Kamala. Or I'm sorry, he said it happened when he was voting for Kamala. And then there was a couple of videos that we saw where people were saying it happened when they voted for Trump. But D.L. Hughley is not buying it. Okay, I'm going to put an overlay on this. Even though it's on Facebook, this is Comedy Hype's material. Likes up, everyone, please like and share.
For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thomas.
I'm going to fast forward.
Add to the
much over. I don't know where we go from here. I don't.
Hold on.
For our life.
Those news that his vote was changed once he cast the ballot and it was printed. On social media, Carson would share his experience while warning potential voters of what could happen to them if they don't pay attention. But before we get started, elections are about putting people in office who will fight for you, people who will stand on business about the issues that are important to you. Climate change is increasing natural disasters like hurricanes and floods that are devastating communities, especially communities of color, and we need urgent action. On behalf of HBCU Green Fund, get out and vote to ensure your voice is heard and your values are represented. Vote early or on Election Day on November 5th. Now, when it comes to T.C. Carson and the trouble he ran into while voting, his Instagram caption would say, "Voters, especially those in Georgia, please check your ballot before and after printing. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't get got."
Hey, what's up, fam? So I just got through voting. Yeah, had a little issue. Did my ballot and printed out my ballot, and they had changed who I was voting for president. And it came out with 45's name on it. Hell no. So they fixed that for me. And so I have voted, and I have voted for Kamala and Tim Walz and all you people that are voting for 45. Good luck with you, all right? Peace.
Now, comedian D.L. Hughley would share Carson's post in order to spread awareness about the potential obstacles that.
Now, let's hear what D.L. Hughley had to say. And then we're going to go to a fact check. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Here it is. D.L. Hughley calls out Trump election as his election win as rigged. There are some other people who said the same thing. There are some other people who said the same thing, so we're going to get into it. Likes up, everyone. Here we go. Let me put an overlay over this as well.
Hyper Clubhouse in Atlanta. So it's officially been 1 week since the 2024 presidential election. While many have accepted the results, some rumors continue to circulate around a stolen or rigged election, particularly due to the large amount of Republican states that the national polls show. The rumors appear to have gotten louder as more media outlets are beginning to report this theory. On Instagram this past weekend, D.L. Hughley would echo the same conspiracy. One would be from the Mercurial era, which would show a clip from MSNBC's Rachel Maddow's show. On her show, Maddow would air several clips of then Republican nominee Donald Trump stating he doesn't need his followers to vote for him, and why.
My instruction, we don't need the votes. I have so many votes.
My instruction, we don't need the votes. I have so many votes. We said that on Thursday last week. And it turns out this is something, when you look, he says this all the time now.
I don't need any votes. We got all the votes we need. I don't need votes. We don't need votes. We got more votes than anybody's ever had. You don't have to vote. Don't worry about voting. The voting, we got plenty of votes.
After resharing the video, Hughley would ask his own Instagram followers, who says you don't need to vote. We have all the votes we need, unless you know you do. He then would go on to share Mercurial era's caption, which would ask for a recount, further suggesting the 2024 presidential election was rigged. The caption would say, we need to all be demanding a hand recount in all swing states. Elon and Trump had a lot to lose by a Harris win. Please, we need your voices to get louder, and we need to demand this recount. We have a lot to lose if we don't try. Now, Hughley's suspicion of a rigged election would gain traction after realizing the state of Arizona elected a Democrat for U.S. Senate. Hughley would also share those results on Instagram. However, according to the AP, Arizona would still end up voting for Trump, causing the state to end up red. Hughley would point this out by writing, "Do you understand what a split ticket is? Basically, this means an overwhelming amount of people voted blue, except for president. You want me to believe Arizona voted for liberal Representative Ruben Galeo over a MAGA candidate and still voted for orange? Something in the milk ain't clean." In addition, Hughley will also take to social media in order to share a resurfaced post from Elon Musk that was originally posted on June 15, 2024. The post will go on to read, "Anything can be hacked." About this, Hughley would say, "The post is the caption. We don't need any votes. We have all the votes we need." On all three posts, some were split. Some supported Hughley's theory of the election being rigged, and others denied it, claiming that Harris was not a good presidential candidate. So what do you guys think about D.L. Hughley suggesting the 2024 presidential election?
Okay, so what do you all think about that? Because I find it interesting because these are the same people that are now saying it was rigged. These are the same people that said it was a conspiracy theory in 2020. But don't worry about that. Let's just go to the fact checkers. Okay, fact check on votes. Dominion election officials refute claims that Georgia machines flip votes. Fact check. Okay, so on October the 22nd, an Instagram post by D.L. Hughley shares a warning from actor T.C. Carson for voters to double check how their ballots are marked, saying, so I just got through voting. Well, we already heard what he said. We're going to skip past that. Now, U.S. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene made a similar claim about a supposedly opposite flip, saying on X that a constituent had contacted her office about votes being flipped for Trump to Vice President Kamala Harris. Like I told you, they were posting videos on both sides. Now, this is exactly the kind of fraud we saw in 2020, and it cannot be tolerated. This is what she said. Both claims generated tens of thousands of interactions on social media. While nobody else was in the booth with Carson or others who claimed the machines switched their votes, Dominion Voting Systems, the maker of the machines, and the Georgia Secretary of State's office have been adamant that vote flipping absolutely cannot happen. They say this is a false claim that voting machines can switch votes, has been repeatedly debunked. Stephanie Wallstrom, a spokesperson for Dominion, told USA Today. The company maintains a page of addressing misinformation about those machines. Now, Gabrielle Sterling, the chief operating officer of the Georgia Secretary of State's office, addressed the Whitfield County, Georgia claim that Greene posted about on October the 23rd during a briefing, saying it has been an individual who said this isn't who I went to vote for. and they go to the poll manager and they say, okay, come back and we will spoil this ballot and you can vote again. And they're able to do it. There is zero evidence of a machine flipping any individual's vote. Are there elderly people whose hands shake and they probably hit the wrong button slightly and they didn't review their ballot properly before they printed it? That's the main situation we've seen. There is literally zero, and I'm saying this to certain Congress people in the state, zero evidence of matching flipping votes. And that claim was a lie in 2020, and it's a lie now. So the Whitfield Board of Elections and registrars posted an explanation of the incident, including the fact that the voter's ballot was replaced after they mentioned it did not reflect their choice. Green also appeared to step back from the claim in an October 21st post on X, saying she appreciated public transparency and dedicated hard work to election integrity of the Whitfield Election Board, and also shared the release. So Dominion has fought multiple legal battles to clear its name from an array of lawsuits claiming its machines malfunctioned or otherwise manipulated the 2020 election results. USA Today has also bunked multiple claims that the voting machines flipped votes, deleted votes, and can create fraudulent ballots after being hacked. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger also addressed such claims, saying on Face the Nation on October the 20th that all voting equipment is working properly. He encouraged voters to review their printed ballots before turning them in and asked for the ballots to be spoiled and replaced if they don't reflect whom they wanted to choose. USA Today reached out to Green, Carson, Hughley, and the Georgia Secretary of State's office for additional comments, but did not immediately receive responses. Okay, with that all being said, AFP and PolitiFact also addressed the broader claim that votes are being switched in Georgia. Okay, Fact Check says it's fabricated. All right, so what do you all think? What do you all think? I mean, at the end of the day, the fact checkers, which I call the fake checkers, mind you, are saying the same thing they said in 2020. That's what they're saying. If it sounded crazy in 2020, I guess it sounds crazy now. I guess that's what they're saying. If it was a conspiracy theory then it's clearly a conspiracy theory now. I guess that's what they're saying. But what do I know? Now let's talk about these voter, what they call these voter ID laws. They say they're racist. So let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. They say they have racist voter ID laws in Texas. Okay. Robert Mitchum says the couch won. Achasha says Kamala lost. Okay. Swift says I'm late for class. Hold on. Lady E says the same people who stated this was pure misinformation when Biden won in 2020, they need to have several votes. They need to have several votes. I mean seats. Tamiko says it's rigged. They put in who they want. Listen, I'm going to tell y'all like this. I have told you all a myriad of times, and this is still what I actually believe, that the presidents are selected, not elected. That's just what I think. And I've told you all that a myriad of times, and I've told you why. Because if you research the Electoral College and why it was created, that's literally what it said. Okay? So no matter who's in the office, I think these people absolutely pick these people. Okay, they can sit here and play both sides against the middle, but that's just what I think. That's my opinion. Okay, so that's why at the end of the day, when the Amish have to come out and vote against Kamala, you know it's bad, says Jacoby. Y'all are something else. Now let's talk about these voter ID laws. Okay, likes up, everyone, please like and share.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start with a question for each of the 5 witnesses. In your judgment, are voter ID laws racist? Professor Tolson.
Thank you for that question. So it depends. One thing we have to stop doing is treating all voter ID laws as the same.
Okay, so your answer, I want to move quickly, so it depends is your answer?
Yes, that's my answer.
Okay, so what voter ID laws are racist?
Apologies, Mr. Cruz, your state of Texas, perhaps?
Okay, so you think the entire state of Texas is racist. What about requiring an ID to vote is racist?
So I think, sir, that's a pretty reductive. I'm not saying the entire state of Texas is racist.
You just
but
said my state of Texas. So you tell me,
Your
what
voter
about the Texas
Oh,
voter ID laws is
absolutely.
racist?
So the fact that the voter ID law was put into place to diminish the political power of Latinos with racist intent and it had been found to have
You're
racist
asserting that.
intent,
What's your evidence for that?
the federal district court that first resolved the constitutionality of Texas's voter ID law.
Okay, so your view is voter ID laws are racist. How about you, Mr. Yang?
I agree with Professor Tulsa. Voter ID laws can be racist.
Okay, that's
other
two.
context.
Mr. Science?
There are some voter ID laws that are racially discriminatory in intent.
How about in practice? In intent, fine, you say there's some racist with a malevolent intent lurking in the back of their mind. But let's just talk about it as a practical matter. When I go to vote, they ask me for my ID. I pull out my ID, I show it to them, I vote. Is that racist?
If the law that requires you to do that was motivated by racially discriminatory intent
What about the
under
effect?
our
Set aside
Constitution.
intent. Set aside intent. I'm
That-
asking about the effect.
Yes, in effect, I
Okay,
think that
Ms.
there are
Reardon.
discriminatory effects from a number of voter ID laws.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Reardon.
I'm going to give the witness a chance to answer the question. Go ahead, Mr. Sine.
Yes, in effects, I think many voter ID laws are discriminatory and in design. They are designed to have that effect.
Okay, Ms. Reardon.
No, sir.
Mr. Van Spakovsky.
No, particularly because every single state that has passed an ID law has put in a provision to provide a free ID to anyone who doesn't have one. The turnout numbers show it has no effect. And I would remind everyone that the current version of the Texas voter ID law for in-person voting, the Obama administration agreed in court, in a court filing, that they were satisfied with it and it was not discriminatory.
You know, I have to say this range of question actually shows the wildly partisan nature of the Democrats' proposal. The record should reflect all three of the Democratic witnesses invited by the chairman maintained to this committee that voter ID laws can be, in many instances, in most instances, I think of the various ways they formulate it, are racist. So let me tell you who disagrees with that. 35 states across the country disagree with that because 35 states have voter ID laws in effect. But not just 35 states. 81% of voters in America disagree with the radical views proposed by the Democrats and the Democratic witnesses. Not just 81% of Americans. 77% of black voters in America support voter ID laws. 78% of Hispanic voters in America support voter ID laws. Maldev should think about that. 81% of low-income Americans support voter ID laws. And yet, what this bill is about is putting radicals in charge of saying, if you require an ID to vote, that is racist and must be struck down. This is all about partisan power. Now, DOJ has also said, under the Biden administration, that it is not going to presume that that a state acts lawfully if it simply returns to pre-COVID voting laws. Ms. Reardon, Mr. Van Spakovsky, what does that tell you if they say after a pandemic, if you go back to the laws that existed before, DOJ is not going to assume that that's okay? What does that tell you about the partisan nature of DOJ?
By issuing the guidance that they did, it says to me that what they would like to do is make permanent the emergency procedures that were instituted by many states through litigation by the DNC throughout the country prior to the 2020 election. And they would like those to be permanent. And so rather than understand that they are temporary, they are going to go after states that design to go back to their original election procedures.
Well, and I think they also think Democrats did well under those emergency procedures. And so keeping those emergency procedures in place will predictably benefit Democrats. You know, I would note, in addition to disagreeing with the vast majority of the American people, the Democratic witnesses and the Democrats here also disagree with the United States Supreme Court. When I was the Solicitor General of Texas, I represented a coalition of states defending Indiana's voter ID law. Before the U.S. Supreme Court, a group of plaintiffs challenged that. It went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, by a vote of 6-3, upheld Indiana's voter ID law. Not only did they do so, Justice John Paul Stevens, one of the lions of the left, wrote the majority opinion where he said voter ID laws protect the integrity of elections. And yet, sadly, too many Democrats today don't want to protect the integrity of elections. And I've got to say, there is a view, particularly from Northeastern Democrats, that they look down on the rest of the country as a bunch of bigots and overall.
I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash for your house, no matter what condition it's in.
Their Southern cousins who are too oafish to be as enlightened as they are. And I have to say, there's an incredible hypocrisy in that states like Georgia and Mississippi have a higher black voter registration rate than states like Connecticut, the chairman's home state. They have higher black voter turnout rates than states like Connecticut. They have a lower gap between black and white turnout than in states like Senator Blumenthal's Connecticut. And in fact, states like Georgia and Mississippi, African Americans vote at a higher rate than white voters. And in Texas, they're basically equal. One of the sad realities of today's Democratic Party is they define race as follows. If you're a Democrat, you qualify. So under the Democratic view, I'm not Hispanic. Senator Padilla is. If you're a Democrat, you're an Hispanic. My abuelo and abuela would be very surprised to discover I wasn't Hispanic. But that's how Democrat views it. That's how the radicals in the civil rights division view it. And I will point out as an example, this committee, one new federal district judge in the state of Texas, Jason Pulliam, it's an African-American judge nominated by President Trump, sat at this table, presented superbly. The Democrats had no criticism, and every single Democrat on this committee voted against him. Why? Because they perceived him as a black Republican. He didn't qualify as a black man. And I actually asked, as the Democrats were voting against Judge Pulliam, do you have one basis to vote against him? Anything you disagree with? None of them had any single answer at all. This hearing's about one thing. It's about power, and it's about ensuring Democrats stay in power. That's cynical, and it's at the expense of democracy and the right of voters to express their will through free and fair elections.
Okay, so I see a lot of you all saying you don't have a problem with them asking for ID. Listen, there was an Asian man who voted, and I think I told you all about this, who voted, he voted illegally, and they took him out of the place, and he was consequently arrested. And but they did say that his vote still counted because they didn't know where the vote went. Okay. I don't know how they can keep a tab on voter fraud if they don't have voter IDs. That's just what I think. I don't know how they would do that because what if you're somebody who's not supposed to be voting? I just have questions. And for the record, I cannot stand Ted Cruz. Do you all remember when they had that snowstorm or the ice storm or whatever it was a few years ago in Texas, and he snatched up his family and they went to Cancun? Yeah, y'all remember that? He didn't stay there to see how his citizens were doing or any of that. He just packed up and went on a whole vacation. Please pay attention. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all been said, let's get into it because they had a whole argument over trans people. Okay, these conversations make me nauseous. Anyone that was born one way should play with others that were born that way. This is what they say. This is a conversation they had on CNN. So let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Okay, New Orleans, Yahuwah's daughter says one guy found ballots in his neighborhood in a drainage system. Yeah, I think I reported on that. I absolutely did. I saw that video. Okay, RG Titan says Cruz was cold-blooded for that. Yeah, he was. I just don't like that man. Something about him I never liked. For one, he's racist as far as I'm concerned. But I don't like him regardless. Just not a nice person. Okay, somebody said, hold on. Miss J said he dang sure did. Left us hanging. Yes, exactly. Okay. Primo 1973 said he needs to go. Yes, he does. How is he still in office? Right. Green beans, potatoes, tomatoes, you name it, says Cruz is a devil. Yes, he is. And so is Governor Ron DeSantis. And that's exactly why I have always called him that. Please pay attention.
There are a lot of families out there who don't believe boys should play girls' sports.
They're not boys.
No,
I'm not going to listen to transphobia at this table. I am not going to listen to you call a trans girl a boy.
Are you going to allow me to finish my explanation?
When you use a word that's a slur, I'm going to interrupt. That's not how it is. They're not boys. They're not boys. They're not playing girls softball. I'm not going to sit there and listen
for a
to that.
second because look, this is a really heated issue, right? And Sharmichael, I know you. I know that you understand that people have different views on this. I think out of respect for Jay, like, let's try to talk about this in a way that is respectful.
Okay, so let me rephrase this since I'm being targeted here.
I don't.
There-
You're
no,
not.
no,
Just
it's
to be clear,
okay.
you are not being.
But I
targeted.
am. But it's okay.
I'm specifically
But it's okay.
saying that I know that you are not intending to be transphobic.
He should know that I'm not.
But
He wants to sit
I
here
want
and
calling you
bloviate.
transphobic.
But I
I'm
want
saying
you
you're
to.
using
I
a
want.
phrase
I want to
that
give
you
you an
know.
opportunity.
So the way
to
regular
refute
people
it.
interpret it,
That's not
which is why
regular
those
people.
ads were
That's not regular people. There's no consensus that these are actually boys. This whole thing about trans girls is a canard. We're talking about a tiny, tiny sliver of the population.
That may be the
and we're
case,
using
but
that
my point in
to
terms
take
of
away
its
healthcare from
effectiveness.
thousands of people.
Hold on, just get to your point.
My point in terms of its effectiveness, regular people with children look at these things and they say, you know what, this is a bit too far. I do not agree with this. I don't like this. I think Democrats are going way too much to the left on. I think there are a lot of families out there who don't believe boys should play girls.
Okay, so he was clearly pressed. He was clearly pressed. RG Titan said these liberal channels like CNN support this nonsense. Why didn't RuPaul run for president? What? You know, RuPaul is not, first of all, RuPaul probably makes more money than the president. Okay, and so with that all been said, everyone please like and share. I'm about to be out of here. At the end of the day, hold on. Let me show you all where AOC was asking her supporters why they voted for Trump. And then we got to go to what Willie Brown had to say. Willie Brown had something to say too. Hold on, let me put an overlay on this.
Ahmadiyyah Ocasio-Cortez posted a question to her followers to try to make sense of last week's election results. Take a look.
If you voted for Donald Trump and me, or if you voted for Donald Trump and voted Democratic down ballot, I would really love to hear from you. This is not a place of judgment. I'm not going to put your stuff on blast or anything like that or dunk on it. That's genuinely not the intent here. I actually want to learn from you. I want to hear what you were thinking, and I just want to hear from you. So if you did that, I don't even know if anybody like that is even watching this right now, but if you are, please fill out our little Q&A here and just tell me what your thought process was.
So the answers she received included that both AOC and who seem like outsiders more than DC establishment, and they both seem to care about the working class. Did any responses give you any insight? I don't know how many of the responses you've seen, so I'm
saw some
asking
of
me
them.
saying that I don't know. What did you
I did
see?
look. I saw some of them because I think a lot of us are trying to figure out how this happened, right? And how it was such a landslide, not only for the Electoral College, but also for the popular vote. And many voters who split their tickets pointed to two key things.
Mhm.
They pointed to the economy and also the conflict in Gaza, because I think there were some protest votes in terms of the conflict in Gaza. I still don't believe that this was about the price of eggs, because if it were about the price of eggs and the price of gas, I mean, Trump didn't address those during his rally. He didn't address those during his campaign. He did address a microphone in a sexually explicit way, but he didn't do any of these things. And so I don't know that Democrats need to do a postmortem, because again, Republicans, after their devastating loss in 2020, didn't do a postmortem. They didn't do a postmortem after January 6th. In fact, they put forward the same exact candidate. They ran the same type of campaign of otherism and
Right.
demonization, and they're just fine because they're back in office. And so I think
Okay, so you all heard that. So what do you all think? AOC wants to know why people voted for Trump. Sharon says that whole The View crew are deranged. Belinda says Sonny needs to go. She's nothing but a race hustler. Not a race hustler, beloved. Yvette says Sonny is so delusional and disconnected. About Damn Time says he actually acknowledged it, Desert Storm. AOC, because that's they can, that's why. Oh, really says they're not listening to the people. Original Copper American Sun Energy said they can kiss my grits. Mel Sharples, you can kiss my grits. I can't remember when's the last time I heard that. Okay, so now let's go to what Mr. Willie Brown had to say. DJ Big Six said, benign neglect at its finest. Okay. Well, I've said that 1,000 times. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's see what Mr. Willie Brown has to say. Listen, at the end of the day, everybody just buckle your seatbelts, okay? Because you're in for a bumpy ride. Now, Italia Rucci says, they're so fired. The View has nothing more. The View is nothing more than a chicken coop. DJ Big Six says they don't even want to be real. You are terrible. Let me go ahead and share this last video so I can get up out of here, honey. Y'all are a whole mess.
Not go back and say, how is it we did not succeed with Hillary? Is it possible to elect a woman to the presidency in the United States? And if that answer from all of the processes is questionable, then you know what you need to do.
As someone who knows Kamala Harris, how do you think she'll be taken, this defeat? I mean, I remember hearing so often that Hillary Clinton, she was traumatized by her defeat for years. How do you think it's going to be dealt with by Kamala Harris?
I don't think Ms. Harris will have that kind of a problem. Ms. Harris has been in contest after contest, starting with the district attorney of San Francisco County, moving on to the attorney generalship, and then to the U.S. Senate. And then she got, of course, the vice presidential slot. This is a person who is focused on being an elected.
Building your custom home is now easier than ever. And with America's Home, 50 years as a custom home builder.
Official and carrying out all the things that she has dreamed in that addresses the needs of people. She will be back.
She will be back, you think? Well, can she come back in anything like the same way and anything like the same style? And Willie Brown, you are a veteran politician and you've had lots of success in politics in San Francisco. What do you think now of that Democrat campaign and the way that it seemed to have failed to connect with millions of voters in middle America? What did you think of that? What was wrong?
Well, there's no question. We Democrats have read the tea leaves incorrectly. We were so far off, and in the process of our being so far off, we took most of the people we rely upon to do polling and similar kind of measurements of attitudes. We took their advice and their counsel. Not one of them got it right. Not one. We didn't get it right. And when Kamala Harris said, this is about addressing the needs of the middle class, we want to make everybody middle class, that means we severed our relationship with the ordinary people. Democrats have always been the advocates for the poor, for the downtrodden, for those who don't have an equal chance. In this election, we did not pursue that religiously and effectively.
So tell
Although
me, yeah,
she ran the
tell me
best
then.
campaign. She had 100 days of thereabouts from the
Yeah.
time she was so designated by the current president, Joe Biden. And she did a hell of a job in the 100 days, unlike anything anybody else has really done. But it was not adequate because we did not evaluate where our voters really are. Trump's operation has become the spokesperson for the poor working class. Democrats represented for years the poor working class and carried out all the things that the poor working class needed.
Right. So it's fascinating to hear that from you in particular, Willie, as a veteran politician and as a veteran black politician. The Democrats behind Kamala Harris got it. They didn't get it right. How did they get it wrong? Was it the warnings about authoritarianism? These are the deep beliefs of liberal politicians. Was it about was there not enough about dealing with the cost of living? I mean, Kamala Harris did talk about that. Where did she hit a sour note? Where were they blind to the reality of the voters they were talking to?
I think coming out of the box, from the time it became clear that there might be a problem with Biden, the conversation should have taken place as to how to fix that problem. Biden may have been a better candidate to fix that problem for Democrats, but we didn't do that. We went all over the board. We went to try to get the college graduates that live in the suburbs. We did all the things that are inconsistent with real doorbell ringing and real ordinary people. We were not.
Now, I want you all to pay attention to everything Willie Brown said, because isn't that in fact what the Queen said? Isn't that in fact what the Queen said? And Bernie Sanders said the same thing about the working people. Okay, that's what they weren't really talking about. Second of all, he said that when they went to did the doorbell ringing, they went to the suburbs. Didn't I tell you all the same thing? Did not tell you all the same things. And those things that they did, those mistakes, were absolutely to their detriment. As far as I'm still concerned, those things were to their detriment. Okay. I just gave advice to some of the things that could have been different that would have been better for them. But the fact that, you see, we have to hold these people accountable. Okay, the Democrats, we have to hold them accountable at the end of the day. So they went to the suburbs, and I told y'all, I wish Kamala had gone to talk to the poor people, the people in the hood and places like that. I told you all that going to the suburbs was not a good idea as far as I was concerned. And those same people at some of those suburb doors who said, oh, we're going to vote for Kamala, went behind closed doors and voted for Trump. Okay, those same women, because it was like 52% of white women voted for Trump. Okay. So with that all being said, I'm about to be up out of here. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. All right. Brenda says they don't care about us. Byron B said the disrespect is real, fam. Okay. Chris Curry said Trump stood up for Diddy. It was on The Apprentice, and he and Epstein and Diddy all lived where? In Florida, close quarters. Well, yeah, I showed that clip. And see, that's why I knew that Trump was not going to pardon him. Trump is very spiteful. Okay. Trump is very spiteful. He's the last person you want to tick off and then give him power, especially if he has the House and the Senate, then he has unchecked power. And that's why Kamala kept saying continuously that he's going to first seek revenge on his political opposition. All right. And so that all being said, at the end of the day, honey, it's all just a whole hot mess as far as I'm concerned. Exact says, make America black again. Okay. And so listen, hold on. Let me go to this next comment. Said they were relying on migrants, says Misha. The new black news media has been saying that for years. Fat Boo says green beans needs a friend, Queen. Y'all are terrible. Okay, so with that all been said, I'm out of here. Everyone, please like and share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell. Click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right, remember, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like
Hold on, everybody. Hold up. Wait a minute. I forgot one thing to tell you guys about. I forgot one thing. I knew I was going to forget something. See, when I be having all these receipts, I forgot to tell you all how Melania dissed Jill Biden. Melania Trump declines to meet with Jill Biden at White House, citing a Mar-a-Lago raid, according to sources. So let's talk about it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Excuse me. Melania Trump declined an offer to head to the White House Wednesday and meet with Jill Biden, citing the Biden administration's raid on Mar-a-Lago as part of the federal government's investigation into those classified documents, saying she ain't going. Okay, this is what a source familiar with Melania's decision told the Post. Jill Biden's husband authorized, now this is what they're saying Melania said. Jill Biden's husband authorized the FBI snooping through her underwear drawer. Okay, the Bidens are disgusting. What? I want y'all to pay attention. Okay, so the Bidens are disgusting. Jill Biden isn't someone Melania needs to meet. Melania's husband, President-elect Donald Trump, will sit with President Biden in the Oval Office Wednesday for a traditional post-election meeting. Typically, the First Lady hosts her successor for a tea in the White House. Melania visited the White House following her husband's 2016 election win and received a tour from then First Lady Michelle Obama. After Trump lost his re-election bid in 2020, he failed to invite the Bidens to the White House before the Democrat officially assumed office, breaking the decades-old tradition. See, I told y'all Trump is so damn petty. It's ridiculous. And a narcissist. Please don't forget that. I've told y'all 1,000 times how petty Trump is, how he's always out for revenge if somebody slights him, and how he's a narcissist. And you know what narcissists don't do? I'm so glad you asked. They never admit fault for anything. So there's that. Now, the Post has reached out to Trump's campaign and the White House about Melania's decision to skip the meeting. The FBI raided Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in August of 2022 in its probe of the 45th president's withholding of classified White House documents. Now, Melania has previously voiced her displeasure over the raid at the Palm Beach, Florida mansion. Yeah, it made me angry, she told Fox and Friends in a September interview, calling it an invasion of privacy. Well, I'm sorry, but that's what happens when there's a raid, ma'am. They invade your privacy, okay? And they go into your underwear drawers. Sorry, not sorry, okay? Goes on to say FBI agents scoured Melania's wardrobe, combed through her 78-year-old husband's office, and even reportedly searched one of her son Barron's rooms. I saw unpleasant stuff that nobody wants to see, Melania said of her experience returning to her ransacked residence. And you get angry because you know nobody should be putting up with that kind of stuff. Trump's confidential documents case was dismissed by U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon in July. And isn't Eileen Cannon someone that Trump, in fact, picked to be a judge? Didn't he appoint her as judge? Which would explain why she dismissed it. Okay, and here's a picture of those documents. Okay, it says secret all of those secret documents. Melania, I'm sorry, honey, but that's why they look through your underwear drawers. Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure I told you all that. So with that all been said, I'm out of here, beloveds, and I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got